Yes. Lebanese banks getting shot at from the outside. I don't know, maybe from the inside. We have no idea. This man obviously trying to get into his bank to get his own money, to get his own time and energy he spent, and he had confidence to put it in the Lebanese pound, and then he decided to put it in a Lebanese bank. And this is what happens. You have the gates coming down on you, and it's barricaded, so you can't get in. Just like we saw a number of months ago with the Chinese tanks rolling in to protect the banks, the people running on the banks there. Just like we saw the Sri Lankan palaces going down. Just like we see the UK pound going down, getting bailed out. This is now, and so there's another version of this actually as well. A man that brought in a like a flamethrower, a flammable liquid, and firearm, and took people hostage. Apparently, these all happened in the last handful of months. And we have the rates rising, especially here in America. It then squeezes the rest of the world, and these banks going under, for lack of a better term, and just freezing withdrawals, kind of like you saw with the crypto exchanges. And again, we've said this many times, crypto exchanges are the same as banks, and the banks are the same as crypto exchanges. And then people say, what about the FDIC insurance and this and that? We just have played many videos over the last couple of days and showed you videos of the FDIC 3-hour meeting, and just minute clip, you can watch the whole thing, a link to it, of them saying, oh, there's going to be bail-ins. You're going to get bailed in. That means scooping the cash right out of your account. And even in Cyprus, again, there was a great comments the other day of people who lived through that saying, yeah, even people that were above and below the insurance amount got scraped for their cash, and all kinds of problems that came from it, and it took them years and years to recover. These are people's livelihoods. This is absolute insanity. And I don't know what the reason is, other than just we've just done it forever and change is hard, that people just keep having faith in these institutions, this traditional fiat legacy system, and I don't know why. And again, this is from Suli, and this says this morning, but this was a few months ago. But again, this is so important because we've been talking about the IRS. It's trending right now. Obviously, there's people talking about the IRS and the different changes being made at the turn of the year, what's going on. We still have problems all around the world. Obviously, you have Brazilian protests going on, which in a large part has to do with a lot of the money situation. Really, everything you see, like the Egyptian Arab Spring 10 years ago, that had to do with money. That had to do with people's living standard going through the floor, and people couldn't afford food. It's said that if your food costs go up above about 40% of your monthly income, then people start rioting, and it just makes more sense to riot and protest than it does to actually try to do anything, right? So that's what the Arab Spring is about. All these things and all the polarization, the division, the protesting, all emanates from people getting screwed over by their leaders, by the unproductive class at the top, and the people at the top trying to tell you it's these class warfare that's going on. It's their fault, and they keep pointing and saying, no, it's their fault, no, be mad at them, when really it's the people up here. It's the unproductive class destroying your currency. I don't know how many examples we have to give. We've given hundreds and hundreds on this channel, and over again, all over, and just keeps happening. And people still put their cash in a bank and think it's going to be there. And the FDIC is saying they're going to get bailed in. The FDIC has about $125 billion in assets to cover $9 trillion. That, by definition, is about a 10% reserve ratio. So you better hope you're the 1 in 10 that get their cash back, because most of you ain't getting your cash back. This is what happens when you don't custody your own funds, when you don't have Bitcoin, when you don't have gold and silver. This is not financial advice. This is freedom advice. Freedom advice. Go get guns, food, ammo, security, water, land, build your community, Bitcoin, gold and silver. Become your own sovereign entity. Become your own nation state. Become your own central bank. Be the one that's in power instead of being at the mercy of those in power. Here from Suli. This morning, again, a few months ago, a man in Lebanon shot at the bank to get his own money. All the banks in Lebanon have metal doors and windows. Now they stole people's money. Weird. This is what happens when you trust banks. 1980s, $1 US, and again, I haven't checked these, but you can do your own trust but verify. $1 US is 2.8 Lebanese pounds, and today, and we know this to be true, fairly true, a very similar progression here with the US dollar and what's happened. So, and then today, $1 US equals 46,000 Lebanese pounds. Bitcoin fixes this, and it truly does, in so many levels, because not only because the Bitcoin actually grows in value over time, it goes opposite way, and life gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Bitcoin grows in value over time. But because of the freedom, the uncensorable nature of it, the permissionlessness, the trustless, you don't have to ask anyone. You can send it to anyone in the world with an internet connection. It can be someone who's homeless, it can be someone who's the wealthiest person in the world. It doesn't matter. You don't need permission. No one can censor it. No one can do anything from you. No one can take it. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. None of this going on. And again, we have another lady, this is from the CBC, about Lebanon. Lebanese woman who stole own savings from bank says she's not the criminal. Well, she ain't. She ain't the criminal. Newsflash. 7 was the first of at least 7 savers. 7 different people held up Lebanese banks last week alone. That other stuff was from August. This is from September. This is insanity. So you can read these articles. Here she is. We actually shared this a few months ago when this happened, and covered this. But again, it's coming up again. This is going to keep happening because the rates keep going up. There's going to be more turmoil going forward, and the unproductive class is going to squeeze you. The whole point at the end of the day is to make you a slave of the system. And this is not me saying this. This is the World Economic Forum. This is the WHO, the UN. 100 years. Read Tragedy and Hope. The 1,000-page book about what they're doing and why they're doing it. Read the Communist Manifesto. This is a game plan for 100+ years. This is the end game. Creature from Jekyll Island. Bailouts in the name of the game. Bail-ins. J. Edward Griffin from the early 90s. Read these books. Please read these books. Our channel here is to touch on the highlights and the surface level. We can't go into depth with 1,000-page books, but this is to give you hopefully a track into what's going on and start doing our own research to create the aha to say, yep, you know what, I'm turning, I'm doing this, I'm going this way, and I'm gonna start researching this. I'm gonna become a voice, a megaphone for this cause as well. This is why I'm on the Bitcoin crusade. It's because Bitcoin fixes these things. It fixes these problems. We're not dealing with 12 guys in a room at the FDIC or 12 guys in a room with the FOMC trying to, well, I think we should do this. Should we tell them they're going to get bailed in? Well, they shouldn't, Rick. What kind of world are we living in where we're trusting just a dozen human beings to hopefully they give us our money back? This absolute clown world. And I'm fed up with it. I'm completely fed up with it. So go check these things out. One of 7 savers that week. I didn't know there was that many that week that held up the banks. So go check those out. This is at CBC. These ones I found on Twitter, obviously. All these different people holding banks up and taking hostages, because we've seen it in China, we've seen it in Sri Lanka, we've seen it in all these places. And this just continues to happen, and it's going to. Civil unrest is going to increase as the wealth gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Bitcoin fixes that. It raises the standard of living and it lowers the cost of living simultaneously. This is what happens. Like I've been saying, Bitcoin breaks your models. It starts when you hold Bitcoin, your life gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. When you hold in the fiat currency, government currency, it keeps going up and up and up, and it gets harder to live. You have too much month at the end of your money. You can't afford your first house. Can't afford groceries that month. So please let this be the call or the video you can share with somebody to get them over the edge, to the faster adoption, the better adoption we have into this new parallel system, the more freedom and liberty we all have. It raises the standard of living for everybody, even if you're not in Bitcoins. So the more people we can get in the system, the network effects will increase the standard of living for everybody. That's the most amazing thing about this, quite honestly. One of the many amazing things. So I appreciate your time and energy. Please share this with someone who needs to see this. Appreciate your time and our energy. It's the most important asset we have. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, but please like and subscribe. If you haven't already, please share it with someone you think might get something out of this, or someone who doesn't. And if you don't like what we're doing here, please let us know why, what we can do better, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.